Welcome to the Write It Down podcast with the 1513 Network. I'm your host, Brooke Murata, bringing you one-on-one interviews to challenge, inspire, and encourage. Up next, I'm super excited to introduce Zoe Hickel, who is a Team USA Gold Medalist and professional ice hockey player. She came fresh off a season as an assistant coach with the Ohio State Buckeyes, who just secured a national championship this last April. I'm super excited to have my very first ice hockey player on Write It Down. She is incredible. She's traveled the entire world playing the sport she loves. I also always love having some gal pal time here on the show. So I'm excited to share her story. Sit back, relax, and get your pens ready because this is Write It Down. Welcome back to the Write It Down podcast. I'm excited to welcome my very first ice hockey player, Zoe Hickel. Thank you so much for joining us on Write It Down.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
I have not dabbled enough in ice hockey or hockey at all with interviews or even watching. I think I've been to like one game in my entire life. And so I'm just super excited to have you on here to educate the audience, to educate me, to talk about your passion. You grew up in Anchorage, Alaska. We could start there. How is it living life over there? Is hockey like the main thing? Is that what everybody does during their winters? Like what does life in Alaska look like?
Yes, very similar to Canada in that demographic, but I grew up, whether it was in the summer on the streets, playing with your buddies, or in the winters. A lot of elementary schools, middle schools, and high school all have outdoor rinks associated, so lots of time on ice, and then of course with our club and travel teams growing up, but very popular sport in Alaska.
Okay, so what do you learn first? Do you learn how to skate first, or do you learn how to shoot a hockey puck?
Definitely skating.
Okay.
Yeah, I gotta get on the ice. I guess it depends, like if you do floor hockey or something first, but with ice hockey, if you can't skate, then it's going to be trouble. You're going to be in trouble.
I can only imagine. So life growing up, did you have a lot of siblings? Were you the star athlete of the family? Like what did life look like growing up in your home?
I had a younger sister too, Tori. She went off and played Division I college hockey too at Northeastern. So we grew up. I never played with her until we were in high school. We went to a hockey academy in Vermont called NAHA, North American Hockey Academy. But yeah, growing up, like we both played on boys teams, and it wasn't as big of a population for girls in our area. So we played boys growing up, and then we got to play together in high school, separate a little bit in college, and then came back and played some professional years together too. So very close with my sister. And I think the two of us had a little competitive edge that always kept us going in the right direction.
Yeah. Did you have a backup plan, or was hockey your plan A? Like you had nothing else that was like taking up brain space when you were in high school and in college?
Not really. I definitely majored in hockey.
Okay. All right. So let's dive a little bit into that. So when it comes to sports, I mean, I was an athlete in high school. I didn't play in college, wasn't fast enough or big enough to play collegiate soccer. And but there's something that happens when your whole life is centered around travel sports or sports in general. Every day when you get off school, you're going to high school practice, then you go to club afterwards, then you come home, then you do your homework, then you repeat. Then you turn 18 and you're kind of, what I like to say, pooped out into society, so to speak. And you're having to make some decisions. For you, you had to make decisions of where you wanted to play hockey. So what was life like then? And if anybody is listening that's like, in the 18 to 22-year-old range, what would you kind of tell them when it comes to their passion, but also being aware that they might not make it? So what does that look like for Zoe?
Yeah, sure. I see what you mean about like the having a different game plan or a backup plan. But I think I was very motivated and driven at that age, and was lucky enough to have, I played for the U18 national team too. And so I had some success early on nationally, and was able to get recruited from college coaches to understand that I would have those options. I think you have to be realistic with yourself, and being on the other side of it, just being a coach in collegiate, for Division I at Ohio State, and recruiting these kids. You're talking to them and their parents, and you're trying to persuade them to come to your school or educate them on what you want, but forgot how young I was. When I'm on the other side of it, and now I'm talking to them, and it's like some of the things that I thought were important at that age, 15, 16 years old, are so different now, like looking back. And, like places that provide a great education, and, putting effort in and understanding that it's going to a school that's going to fit your next 40 years, not just your next 4 years. And just having a big perspective and doing your homework to know that maybe it's not Division I, but you have an opportunity to play Division III at a school that you can play a lot and get a great education and, be very successful in whatever career you want to do afterwards. Or, maybe it's a Division I club program and you get to play hockey for fun and really focus on your education. And there's different grants and scholarships out there for all kinds of ways to be able to enjoy the sport in college. So I think understanding yourself and understanding, where you want to go and doing everything you can at those ages to give yourself the best success as you go through college and beyond.
Yeah, absolutely. And so when it came to your selection process, I know that was, over 10 years ago, but what was that process like for you with your different prospects? Because you did have success early on. So what made you pick the college that you went to? And then at what point were there points, I guess, within your college career that you're like, dang, what am I doing? Like the mental breakdown part, because it's 80% mental a lot with sports. It's that it is 20% craft and skill, but then it's that 80% mental, just like with anything. And we'll dive into about our running game, because I know you're a runner here and there, but that's mental as well. So what would you say that selection process was like, and like kind of combating the like anxiety of all of it?
Well, like you said, even in high school, I feel like you go to school and you have your after school program, then you have your club sport, you got to do homework, got to fit it all in. And when you go to college, you have to be able to do that with less structure and really sort out your priorities. Right. And so, you have school, your sport, and social. And I can't remember what coach has told me this in the past, but it's like you can only really do two of them well. So you have to decide where you want to put your time and energy, because if not, you're going to get it'll overcome you. Mm-hmm. So I think that it's a learning process along the way, but I guess to go back to the original question of how did I decide that, I went to Minnesota Duluth, and I read, like, now looking back, I'm actually working with my coach at the time.
That's so cool. Full circle.
Years. Yeah, we're working together again here in Coachella Valley. But she was like a very big, if not the biggest reason of wanting to go to Duluth, other than Minnesota and, Duluth feeling like home. Yeah. But Brandon Miller was 5-time national champion, coach, and had a phenomenal program that really included a lot of diversity and people from all over the world that came to play for her. So it was really fun playing for her. I absolutely loved it. She pushed me to all kinds of levels, and personally and, as an athlete. And so it's really fun to see that now, like, coming full circle, I getting to work with her again, and our relationships have built and changed along the ways.
Yeah. And now it's like your colleagues, and you're not her player anymore. And like, that's the cool part too, is to see somebody, I'm sure for her to be able to look at you and was like, she invested so much time and energy into you as a person and for your team. And now you're fast forwarding and you're like, whoa, I get to now run alongside of her with the sport that I love and educating more people about it. So that's got to be super neat for her, for sure, and for you. Let's chat a little bit about the U.S. women's national team. What was that like for you in that process of being on that team and all the travel? You got to go to China. You've been all over Sweden. You've gotten to not only play your sport and play it well, obviously, you're a legend, but you got to travel and do it. And that's just a whole nother ball game to be able to travel internationally for that. So what was that season of life like for you?
Oh man. Okay. Well, some of that was integrated with the national team, but some of it was just with our professional teams that we played, on the side, similar to college. And then with the national team, the way it is now, you only come together for certain camps and tournaments.
Okay.
We had one year, we got to go to Sweden, Sundsvall, Sweden for a Four Nations tournament. And we actually went back there in Malmo for World Championships in 2015 when we won a World Championship there. But I think traveling, and I think even more so playing for those teams like in China and in Sweden and actually living in those countries were that much, it wasn't just like being a guest for a tournament there. But after I got cut from the 2018 Olympic team, I decided to play for China. And they were starting their program for the next quad for the next 4 years, which they just played in Beijing. And I thought it was fake. Like, I thought I got a fake text message from someone saying, we'll pay you this amount of money to come play in China.
Text yes if you want to confirm. Text no if you want to stop receiving.
Fly or in.
Yeah.
But I knew who the person was who contacted me. And so, I looked into it, and one of my good friends, Kelly Stack, who is also a 2-time Olympian, we ended up being in a similar situation, and we're like, all right, let's do this. And then there were some others from the team that came over too, but they hired us as sports ambassadors for not just the Chinese national team, but also with their community and grassroots, and to be able to share our knowledge of the game with them. And we lived in Shenzhen, China. I'm probably saying that wrong, but
hey, I wouldn't know the difference. So
it borders Hong Kong.
It sounds great the way that you just said that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's southern. It's like right above Vietnam. So it was beautiful, great weather. We would walk to the rink and back home, and along the way we'd pass some of these construction sites and little shops and whatnot. And there's of course dogs around. I ended up bringing a dog home.
Yes.
Her name is Naicha, which means bubble tea. Well, it's like Neo Naicha is milk tea, the tea with like little bobas in it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So you brought this dog home from China?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You have got to share that story with us. That is unreal.
Yeah, that was quite the adventure, but it's little things like that
like, you just picked this dog up off the street and brought it home?
It is a little bit of a story. When we got there in August, there was a dog, and her name was Wansai, apparently.
Okay.
This guy who was a security guard for this construction site that we would walk by, we'd go by and we'd like give her food. Probably shouldn't have done that. But he's like, yeah, like, thank you so much. Cause he can't afford to like feed himself and the dog. And we had some of our Chinese teammates tell us about that. And, they would kind of like help communicate.
Yeah, of course.
It was just so crazy because the English doesn't really exist in some of those areas. But and then, he was at one point saying like, you can take her home. Like, do you want to have her? And like, I can't do it until after the season, but I will after the season. So this is like November, and then December happens. We come home after winter break, and she's pregnant. And this dog was like 6 months old. Wansai was 6 months old. Yeah.
Pregnant at 6 months?
Mm-hmm. Like, she had just probably been like 7 or 8 months old.
Oh my gosh.
Like, she was a real puppy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, who knows how old she actually was. But
but still.
Wow, was apparently how old she was. Yeah. And so she was pregnant. I'm like, well, I can't bring this dog home to Alaska now. What am I supposed to do with this? And so they have the babies in February 21st. And he's sending me pictures. We got WeChat. He's sending me pictures of it happening. And then me and like 5 others of us ended up taking the dogs home.
Oh.
I was the first to do it. And so for the month of May, we actually had to quarantine them, find the ways to get them their shots. They made it seem like it was impossible to do, but we were out of season and just doing some camps. And so it was almost like a little side project.
So, it's like a rescue mission. So what year is this?
This was in 2018.
Oh, okay. Wow. So I didn't know, because you had said quarantine. I didn't know if it was around pandemic time frame. Okay, got it.
It was 2017, 2018. But yeah, they had to get like rabies quarantine.
Yeah, okay.
Before coming from China.
You have lived quite the life. We're going to take a quick break to discuss Write It Down's brand new website. You can head over to widpod.com, widpod.com, and see all the goods. You'll notice a banner at the top of the page that says Learn More. If you click that link, it'll show you how you can support Write It Down. P.S. My favorite part about the website is the Wid Wall, which is a collection of all the Write It Downs from the show. This podcast is made possible by the 1513 Network, so show the network some love and support by listening to their other shows. If not, just stick with Write It Down, because I'm the coolest, the realest, the illest. Now, back to the show. That's incredible. And so then you fast forward into this season where you work with the Ohio State Buckeyes. So tell us a little bit about that. That's incredible, NCAA championship, and you got to be a part of that. So that has to be surreal for you to be able to, again, pour into that next generation of collegiate athletes coming up. But then also playing against your alma mater. Like, whoa, like, please tell us a little bit about that. That's got to be unreal.
Oh, yes, all of it. Like, now that you're bringing up like little things that this whole spring really has gone by so fast. And like with the transition of taking a new job, a new position, but my time at Ohio State, Columbus with the Buckeyes was unbelievable. I absolutely loved the people, like the institution, the tradition of excellence, everything that they represent, like from the football team all the way through their academics and all of their sports who are Division I programs and all strive to be at the top of the game. And so to be part of, an institution that has that kind of expectation and support, women's ice hockey hasn't always been there.
Yeah.
But Nadine Muzerall, our head coach, I think it was her 6th season. She had done such a good job of developing the culture within that program and, really going after the right resources in order for that team to be successful and making the most out of the resources at Ohio State, which is like second to none.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable going to, playing for a school like Duluth, which is a Division II school with Division I hockey programs for men's and women's.
Wow. Okay.
And you're competing against a Big Ten school like Ohio State that has, funding. We've got chartered flights. We got meals and hotels and stuff that is way above and beyond our recruiting budget. All of that is just untouchable compared to a school like Duluth. But we're competing in the WCHA because of women's ice hockey not having as many teams.
Okay.
So, it's like a combination of some of those schools in Minnesota plus Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Ohio State. So it's a mix. They're not all Big Ten schools.
Yeah. But still, to be able to play, I mean, it's just crazy. I feel like there's a lot of little nuggets in your life that are full circle for you. And it's just really neat that you get to, again, coach at this Big Ten school. I'm not an Ohio State fan. I'm a Florida Gator, and that's okay. This is a safe place for all collegiate sports. But anyways, I think it's, again, like here, even in Florida, you go walk the beach and there's someone in an Ohio State t-shirt. It's like OH. Oh, it's like they have this thing and you're just like, it's real. I mean, but I can't imagine, again, like being on the sidelines for a women's hockey team, and then you're winning this NCAA championship, and then you've already lived such an enriched life with women's hockey. And so now you're probably sitting on this other side as a coach being like, wow. And little did you know, that you were going to come into this next chapter of your life and work alongside your old coach. So that's just pretty cool that you've gotten to experience hockey in such a unique way, because, again, there's not a lot of, like you said, women's hockey teams out there. And you're getting to live this charmed life with this story with hockey, which is super neat. And I know that there's probably more to come. When we connected before this show, we talked a little bit about the Coachella Valley Firebirds, the affiliate of the Seattle Kraken. So why don't you share with us a little bit about leaving, because you come from a high of Ohio State, and now you're moving into this. Not that this isn't a high or this isn't a journey or an adventure in itself. So what made that transition possible, and why did you jump ship to go to California?
Oh, I know. That is such a loaded question, and definitely it was a hard decision to make, especially with, coming off that high from winning a national championship. But I was, it was hard because I had a great relationship with our head coach and our ADs, and I know that they wanted me to stay too. And of course, leaving the girls, that's the hardest part, is leaving people. Yeah. So some of those conversations were some of the hardest things I've ever had to do. But my husband just finished at the Olympics with the Canadian bobsled team, brought home a bronze medal for Canada, I guess. Yeah, okay. He's doing all right.
He's a legend.
He's in a bit of a transition period, deciding like what direction he wants to go in. And this was something that, prior to going to Ohio State, I'm like, okay, you're going to finish out your Olympic season for the next couple of years. I'm going to go and do this. And as an assistant coach for a college team, you spend a lot of time on the road. You spend a lot of time at camps in the summer and, with the team too. And so this was kind of a time that we could make a transition move for both of us together.
Yeah.
You never know if it's going to be the right decision, but so far it's been really well received by all the people in this community, and there's tons of opportunity for him too.
Yeah.
But as we try to grow a family and figure out where we want to be and do that.
Yeah, and put your roots down. So how did you meet your husband? What's the story of you and your Olympian husband?
He was in Calgary. He's Canadian, so he's from Toronto originally, but he was in Calgary. That's where their ice house is and where they're based out of for the bobsled team. And when I was playing there for the Calgary Inferno, which was the women's professional team in the Canadian League, we got connected with one of my other teammates that I played with on the national team. And she's like, this guy loves fishing and the outdoors, and he likes to, he likes fitness and all this stuff. I think you guys would really hit it off. Okay. And we did. The first time we met, we went fishing. My sister was with me too, kept it very PG and group oriented.
Very casual. Just see where it goes. You never know with setups. So it's better to keep it casual, because when people are like, oh my gosh, I have a great guy for you, and it doesn't work out, it's like, thank you. Like, I'm slightly insulted. So I'm glad it worked. I'm glad it worked out for you, that you were able to have that. I do have to ask, you said Canadian. Okay, I pick up on this when I watch HGTV. Does your husband say out instead of out? Like, know how the OU is like OU?
Yeah, he's not as bad. When he's around his family, it gets worse, but they're not too bad.
Yeah.
They do say weird things like, if you want to take out something from the freezer for dinner that night, what would you say? Like, you want to take out
the chicken.
Yeah. From the freezer.
And
they say, would you lift the chicken out of the freezer? I'm like, where are we lifting it?
Okay. So, okay. Yeah.
What? The lifting? Would you lift the meat out of the freezer? I'm like, oh my God, every time it gets me. I'm like
what exactly are we lifting here? I'm very perceptive to that. And I mean, it's very interesting, the dialects that, because they speak, some speak French, but a lot speak English. And True. I feel like some of the Canadians I've met, I'm like, you're making that up. You just made that up. But maybe they think we're making stuff up.
That's what I think too.
It's like, you just totally made that up and you're running with it. But I respect the confidence that you have when you just said that entire sentence. Well, that's really neat. So are you guys, what is what's your husband's work look like while you're out in California training the Firebirds?
Well, right now he's actually he's still training. He's still kind of in that mode,
Nice.
deciding, but he just got his interview for green card dates. So he just took off back to Canada this morning, doing it through Montreal. So he's got to go do that. And we have some things to sort out, but we're waiting for that to get back. And then from there, deciding like what he's going to do next. But
Cool.
He's got some options.
Cool.
Yeah.
Some doors are opening for you both. So what would you personally like to see happen with ice hockey and specifically women's ice hockey? What is your dream and overall vision for women's ice hockey?
Well, I think that it's still climbing. It's still going in the right direction. It's getting some more, notoriety and media and coverage, and those are all things that are going to help, just like they do with women's soccer and women's basketball. And it's just not, the numbers aren't the same as those sports yet, but I think that the quality of the sport is growing and people are starting to see more of that every Olympics. We just hope that those numbers can stick around more for we have the coverage to be able to do that on the years that aren't the Olympics, and a place to play for these women to have a sustainable league. And to be honest, I probably would have still played if there was something more in place, but I decided to go the coaching route when the pandemic hit, and I felt like it was appropriate time in my life. But
Yeah.
I'd love to see a sustainable league, a professional league that can be where all the best players are, and maybe affiliates with NHL teams or however it's done, but that we have a place where, we can really have a professional league for girls to dream and live up to and make a living playing hockey. I think it would be amazing.
Yeah, it would be. I think that's a really cool idea to be an affiliate of an NHL team. Me in my brain, I'm like, why not? Let's just like, why hasn't that happened? That just makes complete and total sense.
Trying.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I know there's a lot more than just me on Write It Down podcast saying, let's go. Come on. Like, what you waiting for? And I know that's exactly what you advocate for and the people in your circle as well. I do want to ask a couple rapid fire questions before I get to our Write It Down. Just a little bit about Zoe here. If you had a lifetime sponsor, who would it be?
Ooh. I have to say the first thing that pops in my mind, other than Yeti, would be Bubbly, because I love Bubbly.
Me too. I love them too. Some people think I'm a psychopath that I like carbonated water without flavor. I bring it to work all the time, and it's like crisp, and it makes you feel good. Yes.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. When Bubbly came out, I was like, man, you are, well, how do you pronounce it LaCroix? The other brand?
I don't know.
I say LaCroix, but some people I think say LaCroix, and it doesn't sound right either. It's like they're making stuff up like Canada. But with Bubbly, I was like, when they came out, I was like, this is genius, because it actually tastes like a soda without sweetener. So great choice. I'm with you on that. We'll see what we could do about that. As soon as we let women's ice hockey become an affiliate to the NHL, we'll get Bubbly as your walking sponsor. Okay, if life had a soundtrack, what would your main theme song be?
Oh gosh, if my life had a soundtrack?
Yeah.
When things just pop in your head? It just popped in my head. Ain't nothing gonna break on my stride. Ain't nothing gonna stop. That one.
I like it. Yes, I know exactly what that is. Yes. Yeah, that's a good one.
I like that song.
I also love that pause that you just did of like a like, you know what I just thought of?
I'm not gonna fight it off. I'm not gonna fight it.
No, just let it happen. Just let it happen. We're just gonna let that go. Okay. This is something that I thought of the other day that I didn't realize I didn't think about until I thought about it. When you're washing dishes by hand, do you put soap on the sponge or on the dish?
Ooh, I do a little bit of both, but recently I've been doing it on the sponge.
Yeah, I think I do sponge, and then like the leftover drizzle, I let kind of just slide around. It just depends on how dirty the dish is. But these are certain things that I'm like, wow, I wonder if people think about this, or is this just me because I need rapid fire questions?
That's a great idea.
Right?
Because I think I picked it up from my husband because he does it. And he said something like, you don't waste as much soap if you do it like this. And so I said, oh, well, good. You can do the dishes.
Since you're onto something, this could be what you do. So I wanted to bring this back around because I did want to ask you this throughout our interview, but just for time's sake, a little bit, this isn't really rapid fire, but you can say as fast as you want. You're marathon running. You run a marathon over the summers. What? Don't you, right? The Alaskan Marathon?
Oh, Mount Marathon.
Yes. Oh, it's a mount.
It's a mountain, and it's only a 5K. It's
okay.
Misleading, but
because I was like, wait, you run a marathon? Because it said the Mount Marathon. Like when I was like, oh my gosh, this chick is a beast. Okay, so it's a 5K on a mountain.
Yeah,
called Mount Marathon. Wow,
it's crazy. It's like for crazy people for sure. But like once you're in it, if you don't do it, then you lose your spot. So you like have to do it. Otherwise.
Can I come run that with you? Because I'm a glutton for punishment when it comes to running. I'm going to run a marathon. I'm running the Chicago Marathon in October. And I'm super excited. Thank you. I'm excited. But when I see that like my guests or people in my life do running or like apparently Mount Marathon, that's only a 5K, they should change the mountain to 5K. But anyways, I was just saying that's incredible because I want to do that. I want to go to Alaska and run that. So I'm going to put that in there. All right. We are at that point of the show where I ask each guest to give the audience something to write down. So Zoe Hickel, what is your write it down?
My write it down would probably go off a quote from Theodore Roosevelt. And that is, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And it can be related in any situation. But I've found that over the years, I've been in different situations many times over and over again where I have to reestablish myself and build relationships. And whether that's as a teammate, as a leader, as a captain, as a coach, or, as a newcomer in the office, you really are just coaching kids out here at the street hockey for the first time, teaching them how to hold a hockey stick. Like you really have to find ways to connect with the people around you in order to break through. So I feel like that's one that I've had to remind myself at times, especially when things can be overwhelming, is just to keep it simple, get to know the people around you, and then, your skills and success will follow.
Yeah, absolutely. People want to feel loved and they want to feel seen. And we know we want that. So it's kind of like doing that for others before they do it for you. So Zoe Hickel, thank you so much for joining Write It Down.
Thank you, Brooke.
Thank you for listening to the Write It Down podcast. This podcast is a part of the 1513 network. You can catch a variety of shows on their website, 1513.com. If you enjoy listening to Write It Down, please subscribe, share with your friends, and if there's any ink left in your pen, write a review. For more content, follow the fun on Instagram by following at WIDPOD. That spells WIDPod. Super cool. Stands for Write It Down Podcast, but it's abbreviated to WIDPod. Anyways, thanks for listening, and we will catch you later.